have to move on because there's so much news coming in from the tournament. And there's an issue now with regard to Pavard, who picked up what looked like a very serious head injury yesterday. And now UEFA are going to look into it. And France's reaction to treating the player and indeed allowing the player continue. What do you think of this?
I wondered, we were here last night watching the game, I wondered what the fallout would be, what the reaction to that would be, because we saw footage. I don't know if the medical team who treated Pavard at the time had access to the footage, but we clearly saw him take 2 blows to the head and appear to be out of it for a few seconds. Now, Pavard, in a post-match conference, clarified that he's been out for 10 or 15 seconds. So how that scenario was allowed to play out and then Pavard allowed to play on, those two things just...
Yeah,
like, how many years have we said this? How many years have we having this chat?
Yeah, but I think what UEFA want to find out is if their concussion charter was followed. Now, they'll have to investigate and speak to the medical team who dealt with them, because they're with the player, they can see his reaction, they can get his response and try and make an assessment. So I presume they're familiar with whatever concussion charter they have to follow.
Peter, the question is there a protocol in place? Is there a protocol in place what they have to do? Because, you know, 20 years ago, 25 years ago when I played, the physio would come on and he would ask you what score it is, and if you knew the score, you'd be fine. Yeah.
And also there was how many fingers. Yeah. I don't know what that was supposed to achieve. Yeah.
There has to be a protocol, and I'm not sure. And I think UEFA spoke to all the team doctors, but you've got to take it out of the hands of the team doctors, because the team doctor is obviously is there for the team. But he wants the best for the manager, he wants the best for the nation, he wants the best for everybody. So you've got to take it out of the team doctor's hands. You need an independent doctor there who follows the protocol. How are you going to do it? Whether the player comes off the pitch and you stop the game for 3, 4, 5 minutes, or somebody can come on for the time while he's getting assessed, I do not know. But something has to be in place, because it's not about, you know, he came on, he seemed to be fine. But it's about the after effects, and we had numerous, you know, court cases, and there's a big thing going on in the NFL, in rugby. You know, we've got to do something about it, because the damage he could have done yesterday, you might not see today or tomorrow. You might see in 2 years, in 5 years, in 20 years' time. And you know, the health and safety of the players, especially after what happened last week, has to be the priority. Everything else comes second. And I was astounded yesterday, and we were sitting here, that he was able, you know, they put some water on his neck, and he was out. He said after the game, he was out for 15 seconds. He was allowed to go back on, finish a game, and I don't know what they're going to do now. I don't think you can take him out the next game, whether he's getting assessed today or whatever. That should have happened last night, and something has to happen, because we had the discussion before. I think for the last 5 or 6 years, there's always an incident, then it blows up, everybody said, we've got to do something about it. And then there's no incident for about 6 months, everybody forgets it, and they said, oh, you know, it doesn't really happen in football that often. I think one incident is enough. And yesterday was that incident, which could have had...
So you're saying UEFA said they're going to now look into what...
If they followed the concussion charter that they have in place. But I was just thinking that football could do well, really, to follow rugby's example, and they have an independent medical adjudicator, I presume. That's a doctor in the ground. He makes the decision about if the player has to come off and have the HIA. Football could do that.
Like, all the evidence is there that could be shared among all the different sports. All the research has been done. There's no ambiguity anymore. There should be nobody who's ignorant of the long-term impacts of allowing players to play on in this scenario. Ignorance is no longer an excuse. So if you have all the information and you have the knowledge, they certainly have the finances in football, they have the access to the medical expertise. There's nothing stopping them except a mindset. You just need a mindset change. And I don't know who we need to be pointing the finger at or who needs to drive this, but that we're yet again in another tournament talking about how a player can be unconscious for 10 to 15 seconds, sponge in the back of the neck, on you go. That's ludicrous. So
it isn't this, considering all the evidence that's there now.
It is, like as you said, it's all there. There's no subjectivity anymore, there's no opinions needed, there's no hot take from anyone required. It's evidence, it's all there, the possible damages of all this on players.
And we'll see what comes out of UEFA's investigation. At least again, they have decided to act. Now, we were